Well, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. Take my hand, God, Lord, lead me on to the light. I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, God, Lord, lead me home. Let me stand, I'm tired, I'm weak, I don't know. Through the storm, through the night, let me on to the light. Take my hand, let the Lord lead me on.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne Maziarz. I'm here in my office at 310 Danforth, sitting in front of a bright rainbow flag beside my trusty upright piano. I have your announcements for the coming week. This week's gathering music was Precious Lord, Take My Hand, written by Thomas Dorsey in 1932, based on the hymn Maitland. And we just saw a black and white video of Connie Williams performing that, singing and playing guitar. Dorsey was inspired by hearing blind Connie Williams perform this bluesy version of Maitland using the lyrics Precious Lord. And then he wrote the rest of the song after the death of his wife and newborn son at childbirth. Precious Lord was Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite song, and he often asked Mahalia Jackson to sing it at rallies. Requesting the song was his last words before his assassination. Mahalia sang it at his funeral, and Aretha Franklin sang it at Mahalia's funeral. We'll be singing it as the opening song in our service today. Ongoing at Neighborhood, Monday night Spirit Choir is happening from 7 now to 9 p.m. And we are starting hybrid rehearsals as of tomorrow. Spirit Choir, look for an email from me with more information about tomorrow night's first hybrid rehearsal in 2 years. Tuesday mornings, our minister offers coffee with the minister over Zoom from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. All are welcome to come by for a coffee talk. If you are able to make individually wrapped sandwiches to help feed local hungry folks, you can make them and drop them off on Wednesdays before 8 p.m. or Thursdays before noon at Club Sandwich at MCC 112 Simpson Ave. They have contactless drop-off in the alley. Wednesday nights, meditation is offered over Zoom with our minister, Reverend Wayne, from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. All are welcome. Volunteers are needed to join our AV team. Training will be provided on how to operate our new sound system and PTZ camera. The AV team will be able to assist at neighborhood events outside of our Sunday services, such as choir and band practice, events, parties, etc. Please contact Gordon Thorne if you're interested at gordon.thorne2@gmail.com. Come in and rejoice. 2 weeks from today, on March 13th, we will have our first hybrid service of 2022. And then as of March 27th, we plan to continue offering weekly in-person Zoom multi-platform services. Let us welcome each other into our space again. We need you and we need each other. Tuesday donations. Thank you to the 6 individuals who gave on 2/22/2022 this week. Together we raised $1,133.32 for neighborhood. Thank you for your generosity. This week's question to the community: what prevents you from getting what you need? Ponder this topic. Our minister hopes you'll be willing to share when the time comes. One announcement that I forgot to put in is Talent Night is happening this week. This Saturday, we've moved to the first Saturday of the month. We have our open mic evening. Our March session will be on Zoom, and we're hoping to move to hybrid talent nights starting in April. All ages and all talents are welcome to share in this fun evening. And next Sunday, our theme is Love in the Religious Traditions. Our speaker is Brian Caruana, our service weaver is Deb Bertizan, and music will be provided by Susanne and friends.
Thank you, Susanne. Good morning and welcome to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. My name is Doug Crozier, and I have the blessing of being your service weaver this morning from my home in the Upper Beach. Our service is being recorded both for the public on YouTube as well as on our website. Joys and concerns will be edited out, yet if you do have any privacy concerns, please feel free to turn off your camera so that you're not seen, and you can also rename yourself. Because we have nowhere else to go and nothing else to do, let's bring our heart, mind, and spirit together as we share greeting and gratitude for being with one another. This is our threshold moment. Let's enter sacred space together. Most Unitarian Universalist services begin by lighting a chalice. Ever adaptable, we invite you to help us gather by lighting your own chalice at home, or a candle, or simply holding your hands in the shape of a chalice. However you choose to participate, please join Susanne as she sings our opening song.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
And now for our prelude. Good morning, Susanne. Would you like to introduce it, please?
Thanks, Doug. Good morning. Hello, friends at Neighborhood. Initially, I had planned something else for the prelude this morning. And considering what's been happening in Eastern Europe, I thought it more appropriate to sing this song of peace, this prayer for peace for your land and for mine. I hope you'll join me in singing hymn number 159, This Is My Song. You'll find the lyrics in the chat. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Peace.
Peace indeed. Today, most of us are zooming in from our homes. Let us remember that these homes are on the traditional land and territories of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Mississauga, and the Haudenosaunee nations. Indigenous peoples have been acknowledging the land at the start of gatherings, ceremonies, and events for time immemorial. Using and participating in a land acknowledgement is one way for us to recognize the enduring presence and resilience of Indigenous people. It is also a reminder that we are all accountable for these right relations. Good morning and welcome. Our minister is the Reverend Wayne Walder. Our musical director is Susanne Maziarz, and Zee Getchell facilitates our Sunday Child and Caregiver programs. We also have our very own Gordon Thorne doing the hosting and Zoom duties and technical support this morning. Good morning, thank you, and welcome to all. By now, most of us know and understand Zoom etiquette. If you do have a technical question or a concern, please don't send a chat or speak out loud to the whole of the service. Just send a message directly to Zee or to Gord. If you are visiting us for the first time, you are welcome, and we encourage you to stay after service. You will be invited to a breakout room, or if you prefer, you can stay in the main space and speak with our minister and or another staff member. They'll be glad to answer any questions you have of who we are and what we do here. Here's the main thing that we aim to do here. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Last week, Reverend Wayne spoke with us about not getting what we want. Today, he will continue the theme with getting what you need. He talked about prayer as a wish, and today we'll also explore what happens when we get what we ask for. Many of you will know that I'm a recovered alcoholic. I don't make a secret of this, and I hold deep gratitude for my sobriety. I also understand that my experience might help someone else. I was sick and suicidal over 27 years ago when I sent out this very simple prayer. I don't know where I'm going to end up tonight, God, yet please don't let it be drunk. My prayer was answered in very short order when hours later I sat in my first 12-step meeting. It's been a real journey of surrender, exploration, and growth ever since. Like many sober people, if you'd asked me what I'd hoped for in my life, I would definitely have sold myself short. Like all of us here, I have good days and bad. It's not all lollipops and ice cream. Lots of days in between. Yet, really, my life is rich beyond simply not drinking. It's often filled with opportunity, challenge, laughter, and love. I am blessed, and I know that I am. And it all began with a simple ask for help of those that I knew could help me. My recovery community and my faith community here at Neighborhood make up the pillars of my very rich life. In the words of Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote in The Four Agreements, you can have ideas in your head, but what makes the difference is the action. Without action upon an idea, there will be no manifestation, no result, and no reward. At this point in the service, we're going to ask you to take a moment to greet the neighbors around you. Please switch to gallery view, unmute your device, and offer a greeting to those that you see on these little Brady Bunch squares. We will sound a chime when it's time to wrap.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Helen.
Brenda.
Hi,
Oh, look, it's Ellie. Hi,
Lorraine.
Ellie.
Hi, Peter.
Good to see you. Hi, Fred. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi,
Steve.
Hello, Ken. We don't know you. And hi, Ellie. I don't know you.
Hi,
Welcome.
Patricia.
Hi, Dawn. It's nice. Oh,
Hi,
Jesse.
Susan. Jesse.
Listen, Fred. Nice to see
You
you.
all.
Hi, Dolly.
Good to see you, Susan.
Oh, Judith. Hi, Judith.
Hi.
Hi, Patricia.
Here comes the bing bong.
Now, I will invite you to join me in the reading of our opening words, which will now appear on your screen. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families.
At this time in our service, we ask a question of the community. The question this time is, what stops you from getting what you want? One of the things that we can do as people is help each other. But we can't help each other with our personal dreams, and we can't help each other walk to get them. But maybe the best thing we can do is help each other in some way clear the obstacles away. So if you can imagine, what stops you from getting what you want? And then if you raise your hand, we'll be able to see you, And maybe you can tell us. I think I see your hand, Lauren.
So for me, what stops me is clarity of what it is I want. So if I ask out loud, this is what I want, or I write it down, then I pretty much get what I want, because then I have a plan. But if I'm not really sure what it is I want and I don't have clarity of how I express it, then it doesn't transpire.
You know, I'll speak about Barbara Scheer, who talked a lot about this in our message. And she thought that the obstacles in our head were the only ones that were impossible. The ones in real life we could get help with. But if we didn't clarify them in our mind first, it was impossible. Does anyone else have some things that are in the way of getting what you need? Chris, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I wanted to say fear. After pursuing and actually getting some of the things, there's always the fear of what else will come with it that I can't see.
Well, that comment that, you know, we have to be careful what we want, because we may get it and that'll complicate our lives in many ways. We have time for one more, and I think it's Dina or Deb.
It's Dina. I think it's when I have conflicting needs. And if I, you know, if I want adventure and I want stability at the same time, they're conflicting. And so I think sometimes what stops you is when I want two things and they're opposites.
Thank you. You know, this time when we try to think about a question or an idea that would drive us into a better understanding of ourselves and the world we live in, I think it's great. So thank you so much for responding and having the courage to answer questions that are not easy questions to answer for any of us. Thank you. I wonder, Susanne, if you could lead us in this song. I love this song.
Thanks. Yes, sometimes to get what we need and want, we need to ask for help. And the song we're going to sing now is our gathering music, Precious Lord, Take My Hand, from the Christian tradition, that sometimes you need to reach out a hand for someone to take it. Please join me in singing. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. When the darkness appears and the light draws near, and the day is past, and
Good morning, everybody. Can I ask all of the young and young at heart to come on down and get ready for our time for all ages? So our topic for this week is You Might Get What You Need, a part two to last week's You Can't Always Get What You Want. And given that it's kind of a part two to last week's service, this week we're going to look a little bit closer at the book we read last week, The Queen, the Bear, and the Bumblebee. Now, just a quick recap in case you weren't here last week. The Queen, the Bear, and the Bumblebee each get a wish. The Queen uses her wish to get wings and fly. The Bear uses his wish to become a man with a whole bunch of clothes. And at the end of the book, the Bumblebee uses his wish to change the unhappy Queen and man back into the way they first were. So that's what happens in the book. But I wonder, and I invite you to think about, what happened next for the Queen, the Bear, and the Bumblebee? Do you think, as their adventures continued, that eventually they got what they needed? I say needed because it's no secret that usually when you want something, it's because there's something deeper underneath it that you need. Say, for example, a hug. Since COVID started, many of us have been wanting hugs, often even more than we ever used to. I think it's because underneath, we have a need to feel safe and secure and connected to other people. And a hug is something that we want that can help with all of those things. So what about the Queen, the Bear, and the Bumblebee? What do you think they needed and how they might have gotten it? I think for the Queen, her want of wings and the ability to fly came from a need to feel free, to just be herself and be able to do her own thing. After all, it can be hard being responsible for other people, and a queen is responsible for a whole lot of other people. I think the Queen could have gotten what she wanted by stepping down from her throne, giving it to someone else, or setting up a group of people to take her place and be responsible for everyone. What about the bear? What do you think the bear needed? I think that the bear's want of lots of clothes to be able to change into came from a need to be able to express himself, which there are lots of ways to do. He could start making art of some kind, he could sing or dance. Personally, I hope that the bear found a barber to help him style and color all the fur that he was bored of. Could you imagine a bear covered in braids and ponytails, each one a different color? I think that would be awesome. Which brings us lastly to the bumblebee. What do you think the bumblebee needed? The bumblebee, unlike the others, didn't make a wish right away. It wasn't until his friends were sad and regretting what they'd wished for that the bumblebee made his wish to make everyone as they had been. I think in helping his friends, the bumblebee acted on one of our most basic needs, the need to protect and care for the people that we love. So I thought this was fun for me to think about, but how does it help us? Well, knowing this means that when we feel that want of something, we might be able to slow down and look a bit deeper at it and see what we actually need behind it. And then we can work a little bit more on getting what we need and not just what we want. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everyone. I'm afraid that on Thursday, after I realized the gravity of an invasion of another country in Europe, looking so similar to how it looked, just 5 decades, 6 decades ago, I rewrote this sermon because I think that what we need more than anything else is each other. 2 months ago, I was walking on the beach just after sunset, noticed a large electrical storm on the other side of the lake. It must have stretched from Hamilton to Buffalo, rolling lightning, jagged bolts from the clouds to the earth. The sky was lighting up almost to where we were standing. Many times on that walk, I said to myself, thank goodness that electrical storm is going on the other side of the lake. I think it's a natural thing to feel. Our self-preservation instinct keeps us on our side of the lake, on our side of the argument, on our side of the ego, and in COVID times, even on our side of the street. We can fear others and the problems they cause. This means that we're sometimes suspicious of our neighbors. We all know neighbors can be a problem. Local and world events remind of this every day. This week, the Emergency Act in our country and the full-scale invasion of Ukraine made our fear of neighbors undeniable. At the same time we're wary of our neighbors, I contend we must consider the need embedded in the faith statement, love your neighbor. We need to love our neighbor, even if we disagree. And that requires faith because there is no certainty we'll ever get to love. Having faith that our neighbors will love us or we will love them is scary for many reasons. Yet neighborly love, even if scary, helps us feel safe in community. It helps us work together. It helps set a stage for creativity and sharing. Loving our neighbor helps us build the beloved community. We can't do it without love. Nothing proves loving. It's the psychological Turing test. This is why we need to have faith in our ability to love. Generosity relies on this faith and love. So does kindness and compassion. When we use these loving skills, it allows us to find common ground inside as well as with others. Sometimes we try to love our neighbor, hoping we will be loved in return. Yet we know that give and take is business, not love. Measuring how much love we receive from others as the reason for how much love we should give back has never been love. Maybe the easiest way to have faith and love begins with acknowledging our foibles and accepting our foolishness. Then when we look at others and also see foolishness and foibles, we know they're no different. This makes it so much easier to say, I'm sorry. Thank you. Can we repair this? What do you need? How can we work together? Mystics like Gandhi and Rumi and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King said that loving others, including loving ourselves, was a basic human need. In our world fraught with conflict and despair, loving our neighbor does not need to be dramatic. It can start in tiny, tiny doses. Holding the door, letting someone in traffic, offering your place, literally or figuratively. Saying what you mean with humility. Saying you're sorry, I'm sorry. You will know what to do. If we want our Canada to be kind, if we want the world to be a compassionate place, to live for a generation, the next 50 years, is there any other way than the tough spiritual practice, the need we have to love our neighbor? This may be the greatest need we ever have, and there's no time like the present. Doug, lead us in joys and concerns.
Gladly, Wayne. Thank you. This is a special time in our service when we invite you to share a joy or a concern in your life. We light this candle for the joys and the concerns that remain unspoken in our heart.
Spirit of life, come unto me.
This is a time for prayer, meditation, and today I thought we would pray. We do that very seldomly, I think. Prayer changes us. It's about, almost all prayers are about healing, or they're about connecting, or they're about wholeness. And at the end of every meditation that I've done for the last 18 years, we do this prayer. And maybe you can follow along in your thought. We pray that we will be healed with the energy that we bring together as loving people, as caring people. And each one of us knows someone who could use a healing prayer, a connecting prayer, a wholeness prayer. Take a moment to say that prayer for them. And there are places on this planet where suffering fills the wide sky. Take a moment to send a prayer there. Precious Lord, take our hand. And then it's over. If loving our neighbor is one of our biggest needs in our country and in the world, it often feels like there should be more we can do as a community to develop this skill. Can we find some better strategies and activities to help us put loving our neighbor into practice? I thought the circles of trust were a wonderful way of sharing our humanity together, of loving our neighbor in a grounded, specific way. We listen, imagine, and ask kind, non-leading questions to our neighbor. This is certainly a path toward loving them. I mentioned one of these stories last week in the reflection that included Diana Meredith's story. But the technique I wanted us to consider today is one that Treasurer Kathy Campbell reminded me of a few months ago. She encouraged me to find and reread a book by Barbara Scheer. Barbara worked on loving your neighbor in a concrete way. She did it for more than 20 years. She would bring people together in a group. Group size was from 6 to 600. After talking about how people can work together and how we don't need to fear our neighbors and how we need each other, she suggested a crazy idea. She said, "Tell us what you need. Tell us what you need to be your best self." She started in small groups and asked the participants to open themselves up and expose their dreams, their wants, their needs. And at first, many were reluctant. Why would you open yourself up to ridicule and criticism by telling strangers what you needed to become whole? Many of the ideas we have for becoming whole, we might not believe ourselves. They can sound silly or dangerous. But Barbara Scheer was tough and persistent. Slowly and tentatively, people opened up. They told about their wishes to become who they wanted to be, revealing what they needed. And during the 20 years, thousands of people opened up. You and I probably intuitively know what they needed because it's so common in us all. People wanted to work at what they enjoyed. They wanted to express their creativity and be respected for it. They wanted to find love. They wanted to have joy in their lives. But as the conversation deepened, people revealed other things. One person said she wanted to compose music like she did in university, but she couldn't play her piano in the apartment without disturbing her neighbors. When this need was revealed in Barbara's group, within seconds a man in the group said, Hey, I have a keyboard and a set of earphones sitting under a pile of clothes, haven't used it in more than 2 years." In a moment, her need was met. The obstacle was removed. I know we've done this informally in our community. Keyboards have been exchanged, food, rides, money, and jobs have been offered between us. Barbara's technique went further, though. They helped one person get into law school. They helped another adopt a child. Groups found apartments for their members. One group found a place to rent gorillas. Another found romantic partners. There were trips offered overseas, and one person got the executive director job she always wanted. One man found a new and exotic supply of wood in New Zealand because he made harps, and the place he would get the wood was all out. A woman started practicing ballet again at 44 in a new professional dance troupe. Even though the groups were very successful in helping people get what they needed, they were hard to believe. How could regular people like us offer something so valuable from our experience, our contacts, or our personal creativity? One day, Barbara was running one of these groups, about 20 people, in Greenville, South Carolina. It was 1988, and she said, "I'm going to prove to you that we can help each other satisfy our needs. Give me an impossible aspirational need. Come on." "Okay," a woman said. "I want to dance with Patrick Swayze." She said he was so beautiful and so strong and so safe in that movie Dirty Dancing. She needed to feel that grace and beauty for herself. Barbara pressed on. Okay, does anybody have an idea? A woman raised her hand and said, Patrick Swayze's mother has a resort 30 miles away. I work there on weekends. He's coming Wednesday. I've booked dancing with him. You come and dance with us too, no problem. But the best story I read occurred here in Toronto. One of the members of her group was an accountant. He had been very helpful to all the members of his group. He knew many people and made connections that got people what they needed. After helping for a few years in this group, because they often last quite a while, people asked him what he needed. He said, I'd rather not say, you'll think it's silly. They pressed him. Come on, tell us what you need. And he said he wanted to be a cowboy. There was quiet in the room, and he repeated it. He said, I would like to be a cowboy. And they all burst into laughter. He said, I told you it was silly. One of the members said, my cousin's a rancher in Alberta. She pulled out her phone and called him, putting him on speaker. The rancher said, you know, I'm looking for an accountant. Over the weeks that followed, that accountant and the rancher talked. The accountant agreed to do the accounting, and the rancher told him part of the deal would be for him to come to Alberta and learn how to ride a horse. On the second journey, he rode the horse. On the third journey, he learned how to care for the horse. And in subsequent journeys, he learned how to ride to a summer pasture, herding cows in northern Alberta as a cowboy. He also became the general counsel for that ranch. Barbara Scheer died 12 years ago, and her work has been largely forgotten. She was no hippie, and her condemnation of self-help platitudes was legendary. But she said two things I love. She said, we do not grow in isolation. Social isolation is a killer. We need to be with other people. As clumsy and dangerous as it is to work with others, we need them. And love thy neighbor is the way we grow individually and together. And the other thing she said is that we need to help each other. But the way she encouraged us to offer help did not include fixing people or pointing them in the right direction. They needed to fix themselves and find their own dreams and need. But the way that we can help most effectively, she thought, the thing that we could do for each other, especially in a community of people, is to discern what stops us from getting what we want to become the people we aspire to be. And then we can make our own way. Imaginary obstacles are insurmountable. Real obstacles are not. Imaginary obstacles are insurmountable. Real ones are not. If you can't build a harp because the wood's missing, maybe we can help you find the wood. You'll have to get it. If you want to dance ballet again at 44, maybe we can find a place where you can do a community professional dance troupe, but you have to join. We can help each other clear a path, but she claimed, and I feel too, that the walk is our own. Imagine how many people you know. Imagine how many things you have done in the world. Imagine how your creativity might be used for another. Then imagine how doing that can make you feel. Our wisdom, our contacts in friends and businesses, our experiences, our intuition, our creativity can be used to remove the obstacles and allow people to get what they need. Circles of trust, circles of help, are concrete ways we can practice loving our neighbor. This might be the greatest need we ever have. If we want to echo the ideas of Pauli Murray, who influenced Martin Luther King, we need ways to draw people in, include them, regardless of their identity. Regardless of their identity. So we can help each other. You might not know that Pauli sat in the front of the bus 15 years before Rosa Parks. We can help each other get what we need. That's the only way to build a beloved community. And no time like the present. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wayne. In these strange times of isolation, I realized a few weeks ago that I had fallen short of my financial commitment to our community, and I have taken steps to better balance that. Like all living things, we must provide nurture and sustenance, and we thank you however you choose to contribute, as each of us affirms our responsibility to this treasured place. The link is in your chat window now. All you'll need to do is click on it, and it will take you directly to our donation page. We'll pause for a moment while Susanne plays.
Dear neighborhood congregation, would you please join me in singing Shelley Jackson Denham's beautiful hymn, When I Am Frightened? Because how can we learn more, become wiser, without reaching out to each other and learning from each other? When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give.
At this point, I'll invite you to sing along with Susanne as we extinguish our chalices.
Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts.
For those of you who do not wish to join the breakout room, thank you very much for joining us. Everyone who remains here will be asked to join a breakout room. Today's question to consider in the breakout room is, what prevents you from getting what you need? It's probably an interesting question. If you're new to the neighborhood, just stay in the meeting by saying later to the request for a breakout room. I'll be there and I'll be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you might have. We end our service by taking a breath often. Sometimes we forget that as we rush to the next thing. Take a breath, go to gallery view, unmute, and tell everyone namaste, which means I salute the spirit within you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. And namaste.
Blessings to you all.
Bye. Oh, hi. Bye, Lorinda.
Bye.